Right, good afternoon. So we started tables in HTML and we have created a basic table with 2 columns and few rows, maybe 4 rows or something, right? But table can be modified because if it is a table, there may be so many features available, right? Sometimes cells are merged, sometimes cells are split, right? You need a heading for the table. As you have seen earlier, the table width was very small, right? So we have to increase the width. Sometimes we have to decrease the width. So we need to do so many formattings on tables. Okay, so let's do some formattings today. So I just want to show the previous table again. Okay, this is the table which we created on the other day. There are 2 columns and 4 rows. So as I told you earlier, in HTML, a table is created row by row. So you have to create each and every row to create the table. Okay. And also for creating the cell, you need the tag TD. For creating a row, you need the tag TR. For creating the cell along with the data, it's TD. But if you want a heading inside of a cell, it must be TH. Okay, it must be TH. I explain everything, but border has to be added for the tag table in order to get the border. If you use only the tag table, you will get the table without border, right? So by default, table doesn't have any borders in HTML. But if you want, you have to add this attribute. Here the value is in pixel. I briefly explained about pixel in the previous class because that might not be the right term to explain in depth. So later we will study about pixel. Even in this same unit, I will explain about pixel, but in unit number 4, we will study many things about pixels, right? Okay, so border size 1 pixel. For the moment, it's a dot, right? 1 small dot. If you want to have little larger, then 2 or 3 is possible. Okay, right. Right. Have a look at the table again. Look here. As we discussed earlier, the table, look at the width of the table, it's too small. Now I have increased the zoom, right? Let me take the normal size, default size, zoom size. So this is the normal size, default size. So it's too easy, isn't it? Look at the width of the browser. It's very big, but this table is shown on a particular corner, right? Very small. But you can add, you can change the width of the table. So let's see how to change the width. Before that, I told you a column width has been set to the length of the word inside of the column, right? A column width will be set to the word which has many letters in it, right? Look here, look at the first column. The first column, the width of the first column has been set to the length of English because English is the word which has many letters in the first column. Look at the second one. The second column width has been set to the width of the religion because that has many letters. Okay, but you can change the width of the column to any size. Okay, right. Let's see. I just take the coding again. Look, if you want to change the width, you need an attribute. No tags needed. You need an attribute. Look, that attribute has to be added to the table tag because table is the responsible tag for the entire table. Have you understood? This is the tag responsible for the entire table. So if you want to change the width of the table, definitely the attribute to be added for table, not for TR or TH or TD, because TR is not responsible for the entire table. TH is not responsible for the entire table. It is only responsible for that particular cell. Even TD, okay, if I take this TD, it is responsible only for that particular cell. But which is responsible for the whole table, that is table. So that's why, look here, look at the border. We have added the border for the table, not TR or TH or TD. Similarly, This has to be added for table. Okay, right. So here the attribute is meaningful. We are changing the width. So the attribute should be width. So leave a space because we have already added one attribute. So go inside and leave a space. And this time it's width. Every attribute, every tag is meaningful so that you can easily remember. Okay, width equal because it's an attribute. So equal, then the value. So here the value can be written in two different formats. Listen to me. The first one is in pixel, like this. Here 1 pixel because it's too small. But when it comes to width, we expect big one, right? So here, say I take the default size again. This is the default size. Okay, let's say I just want to increase to 700 pixel. Okay, so I put 700. If you are good with these pixels, you can easily predict your output. But if you are not sure about 700, just put it and see, check your output. And if it is okay, then keep it. Or if you want to increase further, you can change it. Okay, so 700 pixels means 700 dots. Okay, let's save your work and see the output. Now look at the width of the table. So from here to here, right? From here to here, it's 700 pixels. Okay, so it's up to you to decide the width, right? So sometimes you want more width, so increase further. Let's say 900 or something. This is 900. So now it is expanded further. Look at that. It is okay. Right. So this is the method, one method, in fact, for increasing the width of the table. This is the attribute and value should be in pixel. Look, sometimes we are not good with pixels because those are too small dots. If you don't have any experiences with multimedia pixels, sometimes it is difficult to guess the particular length, right? So in that case, you may go with percentage, right? Percentage is possible. Say the whole width of the browser will be taken as 100%, right? The entire width will be taken as 100%. So suppose if you put 50%, it must be half of the browser. Let's say 50%, right? You must put the percentage symbol. 50%. Look at the value. Now the value is not a number. Earlier I put 700, so there it was a number. That's why inverted comma wasn't used. But now it looks like a text because number plus symbol, it is text. So use an inverted comma or double quote. You can say double quote, right? So look at that, width equal 50%. Now it takes the half of the width. Look at that. So it is 50%. The entire width is 100%. It takes the half. So if you change that as 100, look at that. Now it takes the entire width, the full width. You can see that, right? So the table is there. Clear? So you can decide the width. So there are two ways. One is using the pixels. The other one is percentage, right? Okay. So let me take that as 500 pixels or something, right? Okay. So now we know how to change the width of the table. Similarly, when it comes to height, that is also possible, right? Let me increase the zoom size again, right? So in a table, you have the height and width, right? So this is width. Okay, now we have adjusted, but this is the height. Mostly we may not change the height because we feel that the height is always okay because height is not an issue, because when it comes to width, because of the width, the table is displayed on a small corner, on one corner, but at the entire side, you look at my table again, 1 second. Look here, because of the width, you have entire space as blank one. Look at the left side. So if the table is big, the right side is empty. That is not a good organization, right? That's why we like to increase the width, but height is not an issue. Look at the height. Height seems to be normal, seems to be good, right? But mostly we don't want to change the height, but if you want, you can change the height too. Okay, so let's change the height. So again, you have to go to the table tag and add an attribute. So leave a space there. This time the attribute is height. Okay, height, similar to width. Height equal. Here also you have those two methods, pixels or percentage. So let's say 500 pixels. So width 500, height 500. Look at that. Right. So now this is 500 from here to here, 500 from here to here, 500. Right. Let's say percentage. So if it is 50%, again, it takes the half of the browser's height. Okay, half of the browser's height. Look at that. So what is the browser height at the moment? This is the height, right? From here to here, this is 100%. Okay, now it takes half of it. Okay, it takes half of it. From here to here, it's 50%. Clear? So let's change that as 100%. Okay, now you can see that takes the whole height from here to here. Okay, but you can see that the changing the or increasing the height of the table is not a good method, because now the table doesn't look good, right? Maybe column is okay, right? So width is okay, but height is not the one to be changed. But you can change little bit, not 50% or 100%. That may not be good. But if you have many rows, then maybe okay. But since you have few rows, it doesn't look good. Okay, right. So now I hope that you could change the height and width of the table. Okay, the attributes are very meaningful. They take the same name, width, height. Okay, right. So let's delete them. I don't want to keep it for the others. Right. Right. The next one should be the heading. Right here, the table is there, but without a heading. So without a heading, table is always meaningless, because no one could understand the content of the table without reading them. So, but even sometimes after reading, they cannot understand the data which are inside. But if they have a heading on top of the table, that may give some idea. Okay, so let's add a table. Sorry, let's add a heading there on top of the table. But we don't use the word heading here, because that seems to be heading. But you know, when it comes to heading, you always think about big sizes, bold, right, like that. But here, that doesn't have such thing. It is not the big size. It is not bold. So we often call that as a caption, not the heading. Caption for the table. So caption is something which is related to the content. It shows what data inside. It looks like a label or something, right? So let's add that. Look here, it's very simple. To add a caption for the table, we have to use a tag called caption, right? The tag must be used, not the attribute, because we have to add a new thing there. So it must be a tag. So that is caption, but not the caption tag must be added right after the table tag. Okay, next to table, maybe after insert the table tag, you must insert caption. So this is the right place to add the caption tag. Okay, caption, and then give you a caption. So say my caption is here, timetable. Okay, timetable or something, because that table has subjects and other things. So it's timetable, and close the caption. Okay. So in between caption tags, you have timetable. So that must be on the top of the table. Let's save our work and go back and check your output. See, this is the caption. It takes the center of the table. So that looks good, right? This is the normal size. See, you cannot see any bold effect. You cannot see any sizes. I mean, any increment in font sizes. That is normal size. Of course, a regular, right? Regular font, which means no bold there. Okay, but since it is in the middle or center of the table, it looks good. Even if you increase the width of the table, that must be in the center. Okay, width equal to 800. Now look at that. That must be in the center of the table. That seems to be very good. Look at that. So this is the caption. Don't take it as a heading. It seems to be a heading, but in HTML, this is known as the caption. Okay, right. But you must note the place where this caption tag is inserted, right? Because mostly we have some experiences in caption. So mostly in exams, students add this caption before the table tag. They add the caption somewhere here, right? They start the caption here. The reason is they thought that caption, look at the caption is before the table displayed. Look at that, table starts here, but before table, the caption is displayed. So they thought that the caption has to be added prior to the table. So this is where the table starts. So they thought that the caption is to be added here. This is wrong because the caption tag is for table. That doesn't work for the others. It is for the table. So since it is for the table, look at that, TR is for table. So you have to use the TR inside of the table tag. Look here, TD is for table. So you cannot use TD outside of the table tag, right? Similarly, caption is something which is related to the table tag. So it must be written inside of the table, right? So this is the right place. Clear? So this is caption. Right, then look, then I have two more attributes to be added to the table tag, but I don't want to mention their functions now. Let me apply them in the coding first. After seeing the result, try to guess the function of them, right? So one by one, I will add those attributes. Listen to me. Those must be added to the table tag. So let's go inside of the table tag, and this time it's cell spacing. Okay, cell spacing, one word. This is an attribute, so equal. Attributes always need a value. Here the value must be in pixel. Okay, pixel. So we always give a small number, but to demonstrate for the demonstration purpose, I try to give a large number like 15 or something. Okay. Right. Keep watching. I will reload this. So I will refresh this page. Try to look at the change and guess the meaning of this one. Right. Cell spacing 15. What is it? Okay, let me change further. I just want to change 25. It is too easy to guess because that attribute itself has the meaning. The name of the attribute has the meaning. What is it? Tell me what's the meaning of
space between the rows and columns.
That is not the right one, right definition. You have to say space between
each cell.
Yes, space between cells. Okay, space between each cells. Look at that. I put 25. So look at that. You can take any place. So look here. This is your first cell. This is the second cell. Here in between these two cells, there's a space. right? This space is 25 pixels. Okay, but now I have increased this zoom size. That's why it looks a little larger, but actually the actual size is very small. This is 25 pixels. Not only this one, right? You can take any cells. Look at that. This is also 25 pixels, right? So anything is possible, right? This is 25 pixels. This is 25 pixels. Even from cell to border, this is also 25 pixels. So space between cells is 25. That's the meaning of cell spacing. The name itself has the meaning, right? Cell spacing 25. But look, this table, if you keep the space as 25, the table doesn't look good. Look at that. The cells are spread, right? That may not be good. So you may use a very small number. So maybe cell spacing 1 or 2. Even without cell spacing, also table looks good, right? So now we have given only 2. So 2 space, very little space, right? So that is the meaning of cell spacing. What is it? The space between cells. We have another attribute called cell padding, right? Cell padding equal. Here you may use a little large number. That is not an issue. But let me introduce slightly larger first. Okay, 20 or something. Cell padding equal to 20, and save the work and see the output. Keep watching. I will put another number. Okay, keep it in your mind. So this is cell padding 20. Let me change that as 30 or maybe 25. 25. Anybody? What is it? Cell padding 25. You can compare this table with the previous table.
Size of a cell.
What is it?
Size of one cell.
Height?
Space
No.
content in the cell.
Control the area of the cell.
Okay. Okay. Tell me the meaning of this 25. What is 25? There. Look 1 second. In the previous one, in the previous one, we use cell spacing 20. So what's the meaning of 20 there? The space between 2 cells is 20 pixels. Okay, that's the reason why we have inserted that one, right? Cell spacing equal 20 means in between 2 cells you have 20 pixels space, right? So now you may have any meaning for cell spacing. I will explain the meaning for cell padding later. But now you have given me some different idea. But tell me, what's the meaning of this 25? Cell padding 25. What is it?
The distance between the border of the table and text.
Yes, good. So this is cell padding is the space between the edge of the cell and its content. Let me check that. I repeat it. It is the space between the edge, maybe the border. Here, look at this cell. Look at the first, this one, ICT. This is the edge. Look at the left side. This is the left side border. From left side border to the content. This is the content. This is where the content starts, right? So this space is cell padding. I repeat it. Space between the border, maybe edge of the cell and its content. Not on one side, right? You can check in all sides. Even you see on the top, this is the border, right? This is the border. Here, this is the text. Here, the text starts, right? So this seems to be 25. Even if you take the bottom side, here the text, here the border, right? Here the border. So this is 25. Even on the right side, here the border. But now see, it looks very big. Look at the left, look at the right side. This is right, this is right side. Look at the space. It seems to be very big because the word ICT has only 3 letters. So that's why it seems that the right side is very big. No, here also there should be a space between the right border and the content. So maybe here. So if you type the word IC, if you continuously type the word ICT, that may reach up to this one, right? Hereafter, nothing to be written. Okay. So in all sites, 25 pixels is reserved, right? So you may take anything here, even in English also. Now in English, you can easily check this. See, this is the right one. Here the word ends. So this space is 25 pixels. Here, this space is 25. Here 25, here 25. Okay, but in some letters, the right side seems to be very big because that content has only few letters. Look at that math. The right side seems to be very big because the word math has only 4 letters. So that's why it seems to be very big, but definitely there's a space reserved on the right side. Okay. So the cell padding means the space between the border of the cell and its content. Okay, you may take any of the border, any side. You have 4 borders for a cell, any border is okay. So they are the 2 attributes, cell spacing and cell padding. Okay, they are related to cells. Cell spacing is for increasing or decreasing the space between 2 cells. Cell padding is for increasing or decreasing the space between the border of the cell and its content. Clear? Right. So I just want to remove this one. Right. So the next one. Look. That one is very important, merging the cells, right? Because even in word processing software, you could merge, even when it comes to manual writing, we often merge the cell. Merging the cell means connecting more than 1 cells together. In some instances, you like to connect or join 2 cells or 3 cells or 4 cells together. That is merge. So merge cells is very simple in other application softwares. You can easily merge them, right? There is no issue at all. But here, you have to merge using tags. Okay, let's see. Tags or attributes, right? Let's see. So I just want to explain that on the board because that needs some sort of steps. If I explain on the screen or if I explain in the computer, sometimes it is difficult to get the idea, get the step. So I just want to explain on the board. Listen to me, right? So I just want to display a small table. Right, a small table, 2 columns. Right, this is my table, but I put the borders as a normal border. In HTML, borders are slightly different, but I put normal borders, right? So I just want this small table, no heading needed. So, okay, this is day 1. Day 1, this is day 2. These are the heading 4 columns, right? Day 1 and day 2. So here I have some subjects. So let's say ICT here. Here maths there. Science here. Maths there. ICT there. English there. Okay. This is the table which I want. Okay, right. Look carefully. As we discussed earlier, when starts creating a table, you have to check the number of columns, sorry, number of rows, because in HTML, table is created row by row. So without knowing the number of rows, you cannot create the table. Say, if you have 4 rows, definitely you have to use 4 tr. 4 tr tag should be used, right? So knowing the number of rows is very important for creating the table. Right. Tell me how many rows are here in this table? How many rows that you can find?
4.
How many rows?
5.
5.
5 or 4? Check both sides, because in check both sides. Check the right side and the left side, because maybe in one side cells may be merged. Okay, when some cells are merged, you cannot get the number of rows exactly. So look at that. If you check the left side, it seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It seems to be 4. But look at the right side. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have to understand that it has 4 rows. But what happens here, right? What happens here? Actually, here 2 cells are there, right? 2 cells are there, but they are merged. You can easily identify that by looking at the right side. Look there, there are 2 cells. Same height, right? Same height. There are 2 cells. Here it is a single cell. So that indirectly tells us that 2 cells have been merged. Okay, so how many cells are there? You have 5 cells. Sorry, how many rows are there? You have 5 rows. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, so just check that first, or confirm that first. Okay, we have 5 rows. Okay, I just want to start my coding from the body. So let's say body here. Okay, put the border, sorry, body. I just want to start from body, yeah, right? I ignore that HTML, head, title, everything. Okay, then straight away table. We have a border, so border equal 1. Okay, right. So let's create the first row. Okay, going to create this row. This is tr. Look, in this first cell, sorry, in this first row, you have 2 cells, but both of them have heading, right? Both cells have heading, so it must be th. We already discussed, right? Th. What's the first one? Day 1. Give the day 1. Then close the th. Okay. Is there any other cells in the first row? Yes, right? You have another cell that has day 2, that is also heading. So maybe in the next line, another th. This time we have day 2. Close the th. Okay. Look at that row. That row doesn't have any other cells. So which means the row is over, right? The row has been created. So close the tr. Clear? So the first row has been created. Let's create the second row, which means this one, right? Second one, this one. So we want another tr, table row. Look at the first cell, ICT, that is a normal content, right? That is not the heading, normal content. So that must be TD, table data, TD. What is it? ICT. And close the TD. Right? You have another cell in the same row. So another TD. This is mathematics. So it is math. Close the TD. Okay. Yes, both of them have been created. So close this TR. Close this TR. Right. So first 2 rows are over. Look, we couldn't face any problems in the first 2 rows because they are the normal rows, which means there was no merge facilities applied. Both rows have single cells, right? So look at that. This is a single cell. This is a single cell. Single cell means cells are separated. So there is no issue. But look at the next one. So there we have some issue. But try to follow my method. You never face any problems if you follow my method, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow my own step. So look here, in table, we create row by row. So my next step would be creating the next row, right? I have to create the next row, right? Watch it carefully. I'm going to create the third row. What is it? This one, right? This is the third row. This one, which means, okay, which means this one. I put a dot here, some dots there in order to differentiate the row. So what I'm going to create this one, this row, right? So this, maybe this row. I put some highlighted marks there because to show that, right? The third row, because look at that, you can easily find that in science, there is a line. So this is the third row. But here the problem is the third row and fourth row. You have two cells. One is in the third row and the other one fourth row, but they are merged. But that may be issue. But now I'm going to create this top row, right? This top row, that highlighted row. Okay, right. Watch it carefully. So this is TR. Okay, table row. So what next? So as usual, when we start the row, we have to create the first cell. Okay, right. This is the very important part to be considered, right? In this particular row, in this third row, what is the first cell in this particular row? The first cell, this one, the highlighted by blue, right? This is the first cell, right? This is the first cell. But what happens if I use what happens if I use TD maths? So now if I use TD maths, that maths would be in this particular cell only. Okay, my next cell would be this one, but if I use TD maths, then maths would be in that particular cell, which means the first cell in the third row. But look at that output. We don't want such output. We want maths in both cells. This one. Okay, we want maths in both cells. But what is the cell which is being created now? We are creating this one, right? The top cell. So what is the idea now? While creating this top cell, you have to create the next cell, which is in the next row. I repeat it. I'm creating the cell, right? First cell in the third row. But at the same time, while it is being created, we have to create another cell, which is in the next row, right? So now what is the idea? So yes, you have to create that top cell. So TD. So while creating this cell, you need to add another cell, right? You need to join that. So for joining another cell, which is in another row, you need an attribute. So here the attribute is a row span. Row span, which means you are spanning the row. You are expanding the row, right? So this is in the third row. This is in the fourth row. So we are joining two rows, right? So that's why TD row span. We are spanning the row equal, because it's an attribute, equal. How many rows? So how many cells are merged? Two cells. So number 2. Close the bracket. I repeat it again. Look here. Now we are in the third row. So you can check the third row on the right side. This one, right? Science. And here I can put a small dot. So now we have to create the top one, right? Top one. So that's why we put the TR. So what is the first cell in the third row? That one, maybe that empty cell or something. But that is not the single cell, because that is merged with another cell, which is in the next row, which means fourth row. But now we are creating not the first cell in the fourth row, we are creating the first cell in the third row because we are in the third row. So that's why I told you we are creating this top cell, right? We are creating this top cell. But since it is not the single cell, we have to join the other cell too. So TD, for joining the cell, you have to use span. But we use the word row span because here the two cells are in two different rows. So that's why row span equal, how many cells are merged? Two cells. That's why it is 2. Okay, then type the word, right? You have to type the word. So what is it? Maths. Right? Then close the TD. Okay, wait 1 second, right? Wait for a while. I will complete that first one. After that, we can discuss if you have any doubt. Okay, now this is created. But don't forget that we are in the third row, right? So you have to check whether the third row has any other cells. Yes, the third row has signs. Okay, so you need to create that one, TD, but that is not merged. That's a single cell. So TD signs. Close the TD. Okay, close the TD. Does this third row have any other rows? Any other cells? No. So close the TR. Okay, right. Now have to create the fourth row, which means this one, right? One cell is here, ICT, the other one here, the bottom part. Okay, so I'm writing somewhere here. This is the next one, TR. TR. Okay, TR, right. Don't forget, look it carefully. So now we have to create this row, which means this one, right? The bottom part of this cell. Because as usual, we have to create the first cell in the row now. What is the first cell in the row? This one, this highlighted part, not the top one, right? Because that top one belongs to the third row. This one, right? There is a dotted line here. Below to that dotted line, you have that cell, right? That has to be created. But the fact is that cell has been created earlier. So when this when the first cell in the third row was created, we have created the next cell too. So at the moment, we have to create this cell because that is the first cell in the fourth row, but it was created. So no need to create it again, right? So that is all. So now check that fourth row. Does it have any other cells? Yes, that has only ICT now. Clear? So that is TD, ICT. Close the TD. There are no more cells in the fourth row, so close the TR. Have you understood this idea? Does anyone have any issue with this one? Have you understood this fact that cell in the fourth row, which means the first cell in the fourth row was created earlier? Okay, that's the meaning of 2. So TD row span 2 means 2 cells have been created by merging. So this was created. So no need to create it again, right? So that's why I have ignored that. I only focused on the second cell. Clear? So now we come to the last row. Okay, right. So again, another TR. Right. So what's the idea? Have to create the first cell in the row. Okay, you have to create, that's the normal procedure, right? The first cell in the row. What is the first cell? So I put the dotted line somewhere here. In order to explain to you, I put those dotted lines. So what is the first cell in the last row? This is the one, right? This is the one. So I have to create this cell now. But I cannot use TD, right? I cannot use TD and maybe English TD. TD, English TD. Because if I use TD, English TD, English is shown only in the first cell. But look at that. What happens? This cell and the other cells, they are merged and English in both cells. But what is the cell to be created at the moment? The first cell. Because we are in the last row, as usual, the first cell to be created in every row. So this is the first cell, that highlighted part. But since it is not the single cell, you have to merge it. Okay, you have to merge. Look at that. When it comes to merge, we use row span earlier, because there we wanted to merge two cells which are in two different rows. Look at the first cell, that is in the third row. Look at this one, this is in the fourth row. So since two cells in two different rows are merged, we use row span. But look at that. Here also we have to merge this one and this one, but not in two different rows. They are not in two different rows. They are in two different columns. This is in first column. This is in second column. So we are merging, or we are going to merge two cells which are in two different columns. So here the attribute, because for merging the cell you need attribute, right? Here the attribute is col span. We are spanning the columns. Here we are spanning the rows. Col span equal how many cells? So how many columns are merged? 2. This one and this one, 2. Clear? This is a very simple idea, right? You don't need to worry about much. Just understand the basic idea. So I repeat that. We have to create the last row. That's why TR, as usual, the first cell in that particular row has to be created now. This is the first row, which means this highlighted cell, but that is not the single cell. But while creating that cell, you need to create another cell also, because both of them are joined. So while creating this cell TD, you have to create another cell. So col span 2, we use col span because we are merging two cells in two different columns. I put 2 because 2 cells. Sometimes 3, 4 possible. If your table is big, col span 3, col span 4 also possible, right? Now give the data. What is it? English. Okay. Since it is shining, I try to write below, maybe in the next line, English. Then close the TD. Okay. Right. Look here. In the last row, we have 2 cells, this one and this one, but both of them are created now. Right. So there is no other cells, right? So close the TR now. Close the TR. Okay. So all the cells are created. So all the rows are created. Finally, close the table. Okay, you have to close the table. Clear? So this is the idea. So the important thing which I wanted to explain here is the idea about merging the cell. That's why I have written on the board. I could have written on the notepad directly, but I wanted you to understand the fact, because the way of handling that one is very important. Suppose if I write on the screen, it may be difficult to get that idea. So that's why I have used the board, right? Okay, one thing. If you save the work in Notepad and open on a browser, definitely you will get the table. But there is one change, or you may not get that table exactly. There may be one mistake. Look here, I wanted English on the center position, right? But if you use TD col span to English, actually English is left, because in all the possible instances, in all the cells, text are aligned left, right? Except the heading, all the others, even maths also in the left side, right? I have written maths in the left side, doesn't matter. Science, everything is left. By default, TD takes left alignment. And here also, English should be here. But I wanted English to be displayed on the center. So definitely you have to use the attribute to put that English on the center. You know what the attribute is, right? So we already used alignment for paragraph. You can use that idea. See, TD colspan 2. Don't close the bracket now. Okay, TD, because for TD, we already used one attribute called span. We want another attribute. What is the attribute to be used for changing the alignment?
Align.
Align, right? Align. So leave a space, right? Leave a space, and it is shining, but I just want to write it. Align, space, align, equal, what is it?
Center.
Center, right? Equal center, inverted comma, then close the bracket. Okay, I read it out. TD colspan 2. Okay, again a space because I am adding another attribute. So leave a space, align, equal center. Now English is on the center position. If you miss that align, definitely it is on the left side because every cell takes the content on the left side, left alignment. Okay, so have you understood this idea? Rose, I will try another example too, but not today because we don't have enough time. Anybody has any issues in understanding this row span and col span? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. I can explain it again. You must understand how these attributes are handled. That is important. Understood, right? Okay, look, I will try that on the computer, maybe on the notepad directly, because it would be better to see the output. Then only you can easily, check your coding and the output. By comparing the coding and the output, you will get some idea. So I will repeat on the screen again. It takes some time, doesn't matter, we can understand. Okay, I put the caption and everything. So this is TR, TD, day 1. So TH, right? TH day 1. Close the TH. Day 2. Close the TR. Then TR, TD, ICT. Close the TD. Then again a TD. Maths. TD. Close the TR. I just want to copy and paste this entire set because to save the time. Okay, we have to modify this one TD. Okay, next one, this must be TD, row span equal to maths. Then TD science. Okay, TD and TR. Again, I copy and paste that set. This is for the last, fourth row. So here we don't want this one, only ICT. Again, copy and paste TD, full span, English. Without alignment, I will write it first. English, that's it, right? Close it. Right, have a look at the output first. I have written the same coding. Wait 1 second, something is missed. What is it, last one?
Sir, value is missed in the last call span alignment.
Sorry, call span equal to, right? Right, look at the table. Now we got the table and everything is fine except this English, right? English takes the left alignment. Even maths also take the left alignment, but by default, it is vertically in the center alignment. Look at that, look at the maths vertically. This is vertical position. Vertically, it is in the center. Sorry, vertically, this is vertical position. Vertically, it is in the center, but horizontally, they are always on the left side. Okay, so to change this English, go back to the coding and use align equal center. Okay, and now English is in the center position. Clear? So this is the idea. Here I have used the row span and scroll span. But when the table is slightly big, maybe when it has 3 columns or 4 columns, you could use col span and row span in different manners, because here it is actually not complex. We have merged only 2 cells in both view, right? In vertical view and horizontal view, we merge only 2 cells. But when your table is big, you can do some complex things, right? We can merge many cells together in both vertical manner and horizontal manner. Even if you understand, if you are clear in this table, you could manage whatever table that you have. Doesn't matter. You merge 3 cells or 4 cells or 5 cells. You could easily manage, right? The idea should be taken from this simple coding. Okay, so I will try another table in the next class, maybe slightly bigger than this one, with merging facilities. Okay, so ask me if you have any doubt. So you all got the idea, right? Okay, it's fine. So since no questions are asked, I hope that you all got the idea, but please practice. So you don't need to memorize, right? That's you know, HTML is something related to memory, because you need to remember or memorize the tags. But I just want to understand the fact, because all the tags are meaningful. So there is no need for memory, right? You can easily keep everything. And also there is a way of organization, not only in table, right? When it comes to list or way, everywhere, the organization is there. For understanding the organization, you don't need to memorize it. If you have the skill to understand how things are how things are organized, that's it. Okay. So please practice this again. You don't need to try in the computer. You may put a big table with so many merge cells and try writing the coding. That may be the best practice to understand the table. Okay, keep a table or put a table with 3 or 4 columns and do merge for several cells and try the coding. Okay, that's it for today. Right, so that's it for today. See you next time. Thank you.